This is me, 7-year-old Venus, right before attending a Black History Month program at church in February 1998. The same month I began calling myself historian. This 7-year-old couldn't imagine any kind of wild dream. One of the biggest I've had, transforming into this person. This is a person who has made history. Making history has meant, at the age of 24, becoming the first person in over 120 years of my bloodlines to migrate from the oppressive South, to relinquish my affiliation with violent Christianity, and to be in my Black, queer, trans truth all at once. Making history has meant undergoing a gender-affirming procedure, keeping a journal about the entire process, and venerating a ritual of cultivating a relationship with my breasts. Making history has meant dealing with the remnants of a destroyed body temple during an international pandemic, having all its repressed pain rise to the surface, and learning to rebuild and fortify it. A form of fortification is making history with the spirit of my grandmother ancestor, a woman who embodied storyteller at every opportunity, who served as a custodian of history at several Louisiana institutions, and dreamed of dancing at Carnegie Hall. This has required me to become the first in the modern times of my family to comprehend grief to continue living, to move into the most magical eras of my life. When my grandmother became ancestor, I inherited the responsibility of accomplishing my wildest dreams. Her work, more than ever, became connected to my work. My work is connected to your work. My mission is relevant to your mission. My work and mission has brought me from singing in the choirs of a historically Black Baptist church in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to entering spoken word circuits as a teenager, to speaking and performing at prestigious universities across the country, to being one of the first Black trans people with a poetry collection, to challenging the erotic in front of a camera, to becoming a land steward in Baltimore, Maryland. And when long COVID struck me, I dominated a stage for the first time in 5 years at a theater in DC, in the heart of my stomping grounds, where my angels commanded me to pick my old self up. Every day I've lived is history work. Every poem I've written, every piece of music made from my voice, every picture I've created, every movement I've made, every pose I've done, every time I've grounded and listened to nature, every story is connected to the history work of being alive. It's a mosaic of skill, praxis, and faith that narrates my mobility and my magic. White supremacy declares this is impossible. White supremacy declares me, you, us making history is impossible. As a history worker, I pride myself in my art defying and dismantling the impossible. And it's my responsibility to encourage more of the possible to any and everyone. Besides explaining the ritual of my work, my practice, and my art, I am showing it to you. I am sharing a piece of my ancestral and family legacy, which involves communicating through works of art when words often aren't enough. What you are experiencing is a visual of a living Black, queer, and trans history book, gaining broader spectrums and scopes the more it grows and grounds. I am a specimen who taught theirself to breathe, who learned to sing from and in community, who has surrendered to trees and let the ground speak under their feet. As long as I participated in the world of arts, I've simultaneously immersed myself in the humanities. It's not solely an interest. Being in the humanities is a sacred act of my life because there isn't a moment when I'm not dancing with the pillars of culture. or holding hands with the arrangements of language in a lush field, or cradling sounds with the majesty of my hands. As a person of many marginalized identities and intersections, I choose to better the humanities by honoring the humanity of myself and others in the best ways I can. I visualize an experiment where we gather to remember, comforted by a frequency of music and solemnity, through the attention of breath and body, mind, spirit awareness. I see people feeling power in their hands. I hear people attuning to the reach of their voices. From the whisper to the scream, I see people embracing the chambers of their own bodies. With each encounter of themselves through parts that deserve witnessing and uplifting, they will experience the histories within. They will accept they have always been living history books, almanacs always filled, encyclopedias unearthed from the skin. And they will document the journey in some form, a journey in which they will see the smiling child who's always been there, holding hands with the ancestor that is in the distant future, and with them, all of the different selves they have been and will be are together to keep the story going. Just as I have learned from myself how I contribute to the heartbeat of history by being history, I seek to encourage others to see the same in their own ways. Ashe.